A. Smith, First Take, Big Perk, all together, came on today and gave huge compliments towards Caitlin Clark.
Today we're diving headfirst into the supernova that is Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's newest icon, and the verbal fireworks display courtesy of Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins, Big Perk, on ESPN's First Take. These two didn't just praise Clark, they built a cathedral of hype around her. And the congregation, fans, analysts, and even skeptics can't stop talking about it. From Iowa's hallowed courts to the WNBA's brightest stages, Clark is rewriting the script for what a rookie can be. And when Stephen A. grabs the mic, it's not a conversation. It's a one-man Broadway show with a basketball twist.
On Twitter as well, giving love to Caitlin Clark, and people seem to not like it, man.
But she's Caitlin Clark. She put on a show in her old stomping grounds in Iowa versus Brazil.
Buckle up, because this is the story of a player, a pundit, and a moment that's shaking the sports world to its core. The setup. Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise. Let's set the stage. It's 2025, and the WNBA is buzzing like a beehive hit with a firecracker. At the center of it all is Caitlin Clark, the former Iowa Hawkeye, who's now torching professional defenses with the nonchalance of someone flipping through Netflix. On this particular day, Clark returned to her old stomping grounds in Iowa for a game against Brazil, and the result was pure magic. She didn't just play. She performed a symphony of crossovers, logo threes, and no-look passes that left the crowd roaring like they'd just witnessed the second coming. The stat sheet? A masterpiece. The highlight reel? A viral sensation. And the impact? A seismic shift that's got everyone from casual fans to ESPN's loudest voices losing their minds. Enter Stephen A. Smith, the human megaphone whose voice could wake a coma patient from across state lines. On First Take, alongside Big Perk, he didn't just discuss Clark's performance, he detonated. This wasn't your typical sports analysis. This was a verbal supernova, a caffeinated sermon that blended Shakespearean drama with barbershop bravado. Stephen A. wasn't talking about LeBron James, the Dallas Cowboys, or his usual hot take fodder. No, this time, his entire being was consumed by one name, Caitlin Clark. And his mission, to convince the world that she's not just in the MVP conversation, she's about to snatch the crown as a second-year phenom. Stephen A. His symphony of praise. Picture this. Stephen A. Smith, suited up like he's about to argue a case before the Supreme Court, leaning into the First Take table like it's his personal soapbox. His eyes are wide, his hands are flailing, and his voice is hitting decibels that could shatter a wine glass. This is no ordinary segment. This is Stephen A. Unchained, delivering a monologue that's equal parts poetry, prophecy, and pure pandemonium. Caitlin Clark, he bellows, as if her name alone could summon lightning. This young lady is special. She's different. She's got that electricity, man. The cameras zoom in, the producers brace themselves, and co-host Molly Karam adjusts her earpiece like she's preparing for a sonic boom. Stephen A. isn't just making a point, he's staging a coup. Did you hear that crowd when her shot was in the air? He continues, his voice climbing to a pitch that could make dogs howl. That's not just a player, that's a phenomenon. She's out here dropping threes from the parking lot, making defenders look like they're stuck in quicksand, and you're telling me she's not in the MVP conversation. Are you kidding me? Big Perk, sitting across the table, nods like a man who's just seen the light. Kendrick Perkins, a former NBA champion turned analyst, isn't known for subtlety either, but even he seems momentarily subdued by Stephen A.'s verbal tsunami. She's special, Stephen A.
What does she mean to women's sports?
I just think that she's elevating the profile of women's sports in a way that most women...
You see that shot she hit? The crowd was losing it before the ball even left her hand. That's the kind of energy she brings. I'm expecting big things, MVP-level things. Perk's measured enthusiasm is the perfect foil to Stephen A.'s unhinged passion, where Stephen A. is a wildfire. Perk is a slow-burning ember, grounding the conversation just enough to keep it from spiraling into chaos. But make no mistake, both men are on the same page. Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-generation talent, and the WNBA is her canvas. The social media storm the First Take segment wasn't confined to ESPN studios. Oh no. This moment spilled onto X, where Stephen A., your Perk, and the First Take crew doubled down on their Clark love. Posts flew out like confetti, each one dripping with superlatives. Caitlin Clark is box office, one tweet declared. She's the Steph Curry of women's basketball, another proclaimed. The praise was relentless, and the internet, predictably, had thoughts. Not everyone was on board. Some fans, clutching their vintage WNBA jerseys, grumbled about the hype. She's a rookie, they cried. She hasn't earned it yet. Others questioned whether Stephen A.'s theatrics were overshadowing other WNBA stars, but the backlash only fueled the fire. On X, Clark's supporters clapped back with stats, highlight clips, and memes that turned her logo 3.
She deeply appreciate. She's a phenomenal player. She's a phenomenal shooter. I call her the Steph Curry of women's basketball. I've been calling her that since last.
When she entered the WNBA in 2024, the expectations were stratospheric. Most rookies would have crumbled under the pressure. Not Clark. She started all 40 games for the Indiana Fever, earned unanimous Rookie of the Year honors, made the All-WNBA first team, and finished 4th in MVP voting. 4th, as a rookie. Let that sink in. She was outscoring veterans, outsmarting defenses, and outshining expectations, all while carrying the weight of a franchise and a league on her 23-year-old shoulders. Now in her second season, Clark is elevating her game to levels that defy logic. She's not just scoring, she's rewriting the geometry of the court. Her range is disrespectful, her handles are surgical, and her composure under pressure is downright eerie. Defenders try to game plan for her, only to watch her pull up from the logo like it's a free throw. Coaches lose sleep, analysts lose their minds, and fans? They're packing arenas just to witness the Caitlin Clark experience. Stephen A. saw this and did what he does best. He turned it into a spectacle. "This girl is box office," he roared on First Take. "She fills seats. She brings cameras. She's not just playing the game, she's changing it." He wasn't wrong. WNBA attendance is up, TV ratings are soaring, and Clark's games are must-see TV. She's not just a player. She's an economy, a one-woman stimulus package for a league that's been fighting for relevance for decades. The Stephen A. experience. Let's talk about Stephen A. Smith for a moment, because this moment doesn't happen without him. The man is a force of nature, a walking soundbite machine who's allergic to subtlety. When he speaks, it's not a conversation, it's a performance.
You want to promote the sport. You put that girl up in there, and people were appalled at that notion. That was
Stephen
the
A.,
subject.
He doesn't sit at the First Take table. He commandeers it, turning every segment into a high-stakes drama. His voice is a weapon, capable of cutting through the noise of a crowded sports landscape. His gestures are a language, each finger jab and head shake conveying more than words ever could. On this day, Stephen A. was in rare form. He wasn't just praising Clark, he was evangelizing. "She's the Steph Curry of women's basketball," he declared, a comparison he's been making since her Iowa days. "I've been saying it for years. She's a superstar." The Steph Curry analogy isn't just about her shooting, though her range is indeed Curry-esque. It's about her ability to bend the game to her will, to make the impossible look routine. Like Curry, Clark doesn't just play, she performs. She doesn't just score, she captivates. But Stephen A. didn't stop at comparisons. He dove into Clark's intangibles, the things that can't be quantified by a box score. "She's got charisma," he shouted. "She's got style. She's got bravado. She's smart as hell. Communicates her thoughts like a seasoned pro." He painted a picture of a player who's not just talented but transcendent, someone who's elevating the WNBA's profile in ways that demand respect. And then came the kicker, the MVP argument. Stephen A. didn't just suggest Clark could be MVP, he insisted she should be. "Why are we even debating this?" he asked, his voice dripping with incredulity.
You had Monica Nutt, Andrea, Janae, all on the panel right before the game, and they had a graphic, an interesting graphic that popped up, showing that
"She's doing things we've never seen from a second-year player." She's making defenders look like they're moving in slow motion through peanut butter. It was a bold claim, but Stephen A. backed it up with the kind of passion that could convince a vegan to eat bacon. Big Perk's perspective Kendrick Perkins, aka Big Perk, played the perfect supporting role. Where Stephen A. was a tornado, Perk was a steady breeze, offering insight with the gravitas of someone who's been in the trenches. As a former NBA champion, Perk knows what greatness looks like. He's seen it up close, guarded it, celebrated it, and in Caitlin Clark, he sees something special. She's ready, Perk said, his voice calm but firm. This is her second year. She knows what it takes. The physicality, the pressure. She's in great shape, never afraid of the moment. Perk's analysis was rooted in Clark's growth. Her rookie season was a gauntlet, straight from the NCAA tournament to a grueling WNBA schedule, with barely a breather. Yet she thrived, proving she could handle the spotlight that's been on her since college. Perk's expectations were clear. Clark isn't just a contender, she's a frontrunner. I expect her to be in the MVP conversation, he said. She's got that electricity, that aura. The crowd feels it. The league feels it.
Let's start with our 2025 WNBA MVP, and that has to go to the one and only Caitlin Clark. You can say I'm glazing, you can say I'm hyping her up too much, but I truly think
it was a measured endorsement, but it carried weight. When a former player like Perk calls someone special, you listen. The cultural impact Caitlin Clark's rise isn't just about basketball. It's about culture. She's a beacon for women's sports, a player who's shattering stereotypes and drawing eyes to a league that's long deserved more attention. Stephen A. touched on this, albeit in his typically over-the-top fashion. She's elevating women's sports in a way that everyone should appreciate, he said. She's not just a player, she's a movement. He's right.